All right. I haven't posted a video to this channel in quite some time and everything like that, but I thought this particular situation with Piers Morgan Uncensored would be a really good one to go ahead and post a video here. Now, this one right here is basically about the current zeitgeist that's currently happening in the country. Namely, we have a racial situation that is basically two sides of the same coin, whether people like Piers Morgan or who I'm going to be commenting on later, Marc Lamont Hill, care to admit. You have Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed another kid, a white kid named Austin Metcalf, in the heart, murdering him. And then you have, on the other hand, a white woman named Shiloh Hendricks, who called a little black kid who was trying to steal from her the N-word. And I'm saying with a hard R. So she called him a nigga, but instead she used the nigga. I don't want to get copyright struck or anything like that, because we're still having matured to the point where people don't want to be hurt by words. And basically, Piers Morgan's point is, well, hey, if you call a black person that, you should be canceled for the rest of your life. Well, you think that all the black people that call each other nigga should be banned and canceled for the rest of their life, Piers Morgan? Of course you probably don't believe that. You're sitting here on your high horse and everything, talking with a white man right here. I don't know who this is or anything like that, but he's American. And he's saying we need free speech and we need to protect that. And simply because someone calls somebody else a name doesn't necessarily mean they should be canceled or put out the pasture, unlike what Piers Morgan's believe. And he'll say that right here in just the beginning right here. So I'm going to let this play right here. And then I'm going to fast forward all the way to the end, because that's where the good stuff really is. Marc Lamont Hill makes a fool out of himself and throws a big giant temper tantrum. But let's go ahead and play this introduction right here for a moment.
The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child.
Did you call the child word? It is my own business. You call him a
What you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she should be canceled and silenced rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences.
Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks is saying the N-word. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear it about, oh.
And that's exactly correct what Myron Gaines is saying right there. Myron Gaines are fresh and fit. Nobody cared when a whole bunch of niggas and their white enablers were running around burning down Minneapolis, burning down Seattle, creating autonomous zones inside of Seattle, burning down Portland, breaking up shops in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona, or in Los Angeles. Kids getting beat over their head with skateboards up in New York City. You guys don't remember that? Police officer, Officer Dorn being killed while defending a pawn shop. Nobody talks about that. But we all want to get mad that Shiloh Hendricks called the little black kid the N-word. That's what makes everybody go up in a tizzy. Not the fact that Carmelo Anthony stabbed a white kid in the heart. You don't get mad about that. And you had no problem donating money to that. You have a problem with what's going on with this Shiloh Hendricks and everything like that. And of course, Piers Morgan being a fool. Well, if you call a black person the N-word, you should be canceled. There should be consequences. Well, what about all the black people that call people niggas or Uncle Toms, which we're going to get to this fool right here in the middle. This guy right here, I'm pointing at the screen right here. Let me take my pointer right here. This guy, Marc Lamont Hill. This guy is the biggest race hustler. He's one of the worst and everything. So let's just go ahead and get right to that part right there. Because frankly, this is just a white man berating another white man and everything like that. So let's see right here. Let's start right here. Let's see. And Lily Gaddis says she's an unashamed racist. Okay, that's her right. You guys called her out on that, and of course it makes Piers Morgan doesn't have a response for her, because how are you going to respond to someone that actually admits what you call them?
BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on our side.
Hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear, this has got nothing to do with anything you've just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the M-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. So I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
well, it is about her.
Coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say.
And see, that's what they always try to do. You got to be accountable for what you say. How are you going to hold Shiloh Hendricks accountable? What crime has she committed? I mean, what crime is there? You want to say it was a quote unquote hate crime? A hate crime according to what? Because right now, did she go over there and assault that child? Did she beat that child? Did she kill that child? Did she do anything like that? Because now you got people, if you're going to say it's a hate crime, then now you're running really head first into the First Amendment over here. It's not the same over there in the UK where they can punish you for whatever you say. Over here in the United States, we got that First Amendment. That First Amendment says you got the freedom of speech and the freedom of association. So if white people don't want to associate with anybody else, they're well within their rights to do that. Nobody gets mad when we say, when black people run around and say, well, we only want to do black-owned businesses, and we only want to have our own little section over here. We only want to associate with black people. We want our black excellence, Black History Month, black this, black that, black. That's fine, but not with anything that is associated with white folks now, is there? Accountable. How are you going to hold her accountable? What exact law did she break? And of course, Piers Morgan won't be able to say anything. Marc Lamont Hill won't be able to say anything, because the truth of the matter is, whether we like it or not, Shiloh Hendricks can say what she says. And we're going to get into that just a little bit more here, because it sets up a kind of a trap. I'm going to bring Black conservative perspective here in just a moment. He's going to give his assessment, which I totally agree with, and I've been saying for quite some time. But let's go ahead and continue right here between this beautiful white woman right here, by the way, Lily Gaddis, and Piers Morgan.
Say she is. I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frankly.
You use the M-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the M-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly.
And by the way, look at what Piers Morgan just did, as this Lily Gaddis was bringing up Carmelo Anthony stabbing and murdering someone, which is an actual crime. That is an actual crime. Not calling someone a word you don't like. Stabbing someone in the heart is an actual crime. Murdering them is an actual crime. He tries to throws it back. Well, oh my God, you say the N-word. Oh my, I can't believe you say the N-word. All right. okay, she says the N-word. Now what? Well, we're going to get to that here in just a minute.
In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word?
People.
When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking?
And again, well, you're a despicable human being because you're a racist, but not Carmelo Anthony, who murdered someone. I mean, in Piers Morgan's view, which is more morally repugnant, murdering someone or calling someone names that you don't like? I think he's trying to make a moral equivalency there, which actually makes Piers Morgan a despicable person. There is no moral equivalence between calling someone a name that you don't agree with and murdering someone. There's no moral equivalence there. But yet some people, and a lot of people that's going to probably comment to this video, they're all probably going to say the same thing. There is a moral equivalence. No, there isn't. And or the calling someone a bad name is worse than no, it isn't. No, it isn't. And frankly, that's why Shiloh Hendricks is almost a millionaire. The white folks have gotten sick and tired of being called racist and doing everything they can to do racial unity and racial harmony with black folks, but not receiving one iota of relief. They're told constantly systemic racism. There's no redemption. No redemption. So now many of them just like, you know what, fuck it. All right, you think we're racist? Okay, that's what we're gonna we will be racist. But what are you gonna do about it? That's basically what's going on right here. This Lily Gaddis admits to it. Piers Morgan's like, well, okay, well, I really don't have a response to it. I'll just call you despicable.
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist. And you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well,
Myron doesn't give a fuck, and frankly, I don't give a fuck that girl's racist. What's she wants to stay with nothing but white people? What's that got to do with me? How's that going to impact any of us? Frankly, it isn't. But we're trying to make it seem as though she's the worst person in the country because she cops to what Piers Morgan accused her of all throughout this entire episode.
Shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my
there are no black people in American history? Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist. And at some point, we have to ask ourselves, do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
And of course, Marc Lamont Hill, he is a goddamn hypocrite. He's an absolute hypocrite. Marc Lamont Hill is one of the worst racists out there. Dude's an anti-Semite. Dude hates white people. But his racism is okay because this is the acceptable form of racism, as according to Piers Morgan. He ain't gonna stop Marc Lamont Hill from going on his little racial tirade.
I don't disagree, Mark. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think you knew ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying technically black people brought up. No, technically Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify.
And they always go with that. They built this country. Black people did everything. You know that? Black people were the first to do everything. Black people were the first humans. Black people were, Jesus Christ was black. God's black. Blackity black, black, black. We built this country. If you built this country, why are you so busy trying to burn it down and destroy it? If you built this country, why do you support illegal aliens? Marc Lamont Hill, well, he supports illegal immigration. I'm very familiar with him. Well, why do you want to tear everything down about the country if black folks built it? They won't have a really good answer for that.
Calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, all these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing a small black child. It's disgusting.
What is it?
Yeah, I never said that. I never said that.
No, but you may as well have done because you.
No. If she wanted to probably dehumanize a baby, she probably dehumanized. But of course, I just saw. Where is it? Let me put this off on hold for a minute. Let me bring up Brandon Tatum for a second. Let me go ahead and pull up another. I mean, dehumanizing a baby, right? Dehumanizing a baby. That's what Marc Lamont Hill said, right? Right here.
At Grainger, we have over 1 million products, including the ones that help keep your workplace safe.
Go ahead and skip that.
Situations that we need to establish when talking about this incident.
Yeah.
If this doesn't infuriate you, I don't know what will.
Both Allen's and Jones' deaths gained lots of attention statewide, with a reward of up to $25,000 once offered in the 7-year-old's case. And these are the 4 men in custody in Allen's case, each facing second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder.
Now look at that. Now, which would be worse to you? White woman calling a black baby who's still alive, by the way, a bad name, a bad word, or 4 niggas, 4 YNs murdering a 7-year-old, innocent 7-year-old. Which is worse? Who was dehumanized? Look at all these these ugly niggas right here with a wild hair looking like animals. Yeah, I said animals. Which is worse? This right here, 4 YNs unaliving a 7-year-old, or over here, some white woman calling a little black boy a bad word. But Marc Lamont Hill, he'll make an excuse for why he won't respond on that.
You're just an unashamed.
That's the implication of your
racist. Let me bring in Myron Gaines, because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No, she admits she's a racist.
Well, let me
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody.
She self-identifies as a racist.
But Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, "Yeah, I'm racist." Are you?
And then there's Piers Morgan being virtuous, like they condescendingly talking down to the black man. I don't need to wag my finger when they admit something about me about themselves. I don't need to wag the finger. No, you were metaphorically wagging the finger, and now you are wagging your finger at the black man right there, trying to tell him and educate him. Hey, doesn't matter what you think. It only matters what I think.
Use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree. The reality is it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes. We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation, but everyone is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say, see, I think this Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organization. And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around with black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal.
Yeah, and that's exactly correct and everything like that. And let me just go ahead and fast forward, because I'm going to fast forward all the way to the end right here, because this is when it really goes off.
Let's go back to the panel there. I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Wells's position, not least the donning of the Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
You know, I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before too and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore.
Well, you want to know how you can do that? Not be offended by what people have to say. Because once you get offended by what people have to say, you're moving back into your tribe. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways or anything like that. You either want to be tribal or you don't want to be tribal. You got to learn not to take offense.
Therefore, we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism. I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So the problem is it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem. And it's what I said before, unchecked systemic.
All right, Marc Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
This repeated use of the word.
I wonder if they keep muting Myron because he's saying something like niggatry or something like that. He's saying something. It's just so bad. It's the fact. And of course, it refutes everything that this fool over here, this idiot over here, Piers Morgan, is saying about just casually dropping the N-bomb. It's like, hey, we'll just bleep out what Myron is saying because it actually makes us all look stupid. I mean, why is it okay for Myron and Marc Lamont Hill here, who's getting ready to call Myron a nice term that we like to call black people who don't line up with the left-wing view of the world? Why is it okay for them to call black people niggas, but not this white girl Lily Gaddis or Shiloh Hendricks or any other white person? You know, that's exactly why Shiloh Hendricks is almost a millionaire.
I think, first of all, I want to just register that as offensive. Particularly someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly.
I'm the definition of African American. I'm the definition of African.
Look, did you guys see what Marc Lamont Hill did right there? Oh, he's not really an African. And Myron, by the way, is from Sudan. So he is a bona fide, he is a true African American. Not Marc Lamont Hill, not me. We were both born over here in America. We are just straight American. We are not African. There's nothing African about us. You can't just go based off our skin color and say, hey, because we're going to get to that here in just one moment.
And troublesome, and to as a Sudanese American or an outsider, who's using African American, the very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African American, I think it is a bit.
Did you see that too? He called him a Sudanese American. Oh, so Sudan's not in Africa then? You dumbass Negro. And then he goes, Elon Musk is not technically African American, although he was born in South Africa. So he is African American. This is what happens when you play. And it's kind of funny that this nice looking lady over here, another nice looking blonde hair, blue eyed white lady, when she's talking about tribalism, there's Marc Lamont Hill engaging in tribalism. Piers Morgan won't correct him. Piers Morgan's over here looking like a damn fool. Marc Lamont Hill is engaging in tribalism. He is denying Myron Gaines from being part of the quote unquote black community, African American. You're Sudanese American because you don't agree with my position. Elon Musk isn't a true African. He's white. So that, by the way, that's blatant racism right there on the part of Marc Lamont Hill. But he won't. But again, virtue signaling, condescending, patronizing white man Piers Morgan is going to agree with the black man Marc Lamont Hill because the black man Marc Lamont Hill happens to hold the same worldview as Piers Morgan. You see how this dumb racial game is played? You see how it is played? But this is the ultimate, the penultimate right here, and then I'm going to get to black conservative perspective because he's going to say the exact thing that I have been saying for a very long time.
A bit disingenuous, but the bigger issue here, I think, is that this idea of equating of one side to the other side often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when black people stand up and say, "Hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a black power movement," that is not the same as a white power. I'll let you speak uninterrupted. Let me.
It's the exact same thing, by the way. There is no difference. And what Marc Lamont Hill is doing is one of the reasons why a lot of black people are really standing against Shiloh Hendrix, because the minute white people say we are no longer going to play this game, white people truly have the power, both in numbers and in terms of finance and in terms of political clout and social structure. There's no way that black folks can hang with that. But let's let him finish.
Finish, please, my Sudanese brother. So when a black person says, "Hey, let's preserve our culture," I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying, "Let's preserve our culture." But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say, "Let's preserve whiteness," it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A black power movement was about opening stores and building businesses. A white power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend that these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, "Let's save our country," and even using the language of our country, when black people built this thing, when you say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing, just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
I totally agree.
No, again, it is not a crime. Shiloh Hendrix committed no crime other than going against the current political structure of you white people stay in your place and just support black people for whatever they do, and black people can do whatever the hell they want to do without consequence. She's not playing that game. Lily Gaddis isn't playing that game. That one bald-headed white dude that was on talking to Piers Morgan is not playing that game. This lady over here is not playing that game to an extent. And so Marc Lamont Hill's job is to try to come in there and try to rescue that power structure. You notice he used that word power. He exactly used that word power because he's trying to preserve the black power structure that white people gave to black people. That's right. White people gave that black power structure to you blacks, you pro-blacks. And now the white people are saying, you know what? We ain't playing no more. We ain't playing along with you anymore.
agree. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist.
Here we go.
Today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power in me.
But by the way, she has more testosterone than both Piers Morgan and Marc Lamont Hill, because that's how men should be. Men should not care what other people think about them. Yet
you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say.
Look at Marc Lamont Hill act like he said that she's saying something strange when he just got through saying a whole bunch of stuff bad about white people and didn't pay a price for it from Piers Morgan. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. She just stated the truth, and he's acting like, oh my God, what are you talking about? A person who's fair and who is fair would look at this and say, you know something? She's got a point.
Say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free
say
speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
hang on.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here.
Look at that. He called him an Uncle Tom. He called Myron an Uncle Tom. Look at Myron's just like, okay, I bet it ain't like me been called that before. I mean, look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face. Just look at it. Oh my goodness. This is oh my God. Well, let me go ahead and do this, because this is going to be my screen, my thumbnail. If I can get it to work. Come on. No, that's not it. Oh my goodness. What's going on here? Will you stop? Come on. Let's go. I just want to do a screen saver. See, it's just, I'm gonna have to just cut this part out. Right. There, finally. All right, let's go. But man, look at Marc Lamont Hill's face. He is angry. He just got, it's like, dude, you just negated everything you just said. Let him finish getting ranting. And then we're going to see Piers Morgan, be the pliant little white man and just give in to this raving black man, because that's the real way they have power over you. If you don't let me get my way, I'm going to get belligerent, offensive, and you better watch out, because I might get violent.
And to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's a racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much.
So you see that right there. But let me just go over here, and I'm just going to pull up Black Conservative Perspective, because he said the exact thing that I said about this here in a minute.
About the racist system. You can levy a.
Let me go ahead and find it, and let him finish it, because I already alluded to this, But he's got the exact same point that I've been making.
The quote-unquote white power movement is about and the quote-unquote black power movement is about, what they do, okay? It's the same thing. Like, for example, if black people say, hey, we want to shop at only black-owned businesses, we want to support black banks, we only want to have our dollars be spent with other black people if possible. That is a part of the black economic empowerment movement, right? The black power movement. That in and of itself is exclusionary. That is exclusionary of whites. You're saying that, hey, we're going to purposely discriminate against whites. Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that for power, okay? Which is the same reason why a similar movement involving white people would do the same thing. They say, no, we want white-only spaces. We want to shop at white-only businesses. We want to bank with white banks. Well, again, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that for power. It's the same thing. It's been done for the same exact purpose. Now, the reason why white people are not allowed to do that is because if white people collectively started doing that, if they started acting in a discriminatory way, then that would be really bad for everybody else in society, because white people are the majority, right? They're the majority. And because they are the majority, then they have a majority of the wealth. And it would be really bad if white people started openly discriminating against black people, black businesses, or any non-white business. That would be really bad economically for everybody else. But again, everybody else is allowed to do that, right? They're allowed to engage.
Now, on that one point, I would probably disagree and push back just a little bit. For the majority of this country's existence, from the creation of the country in 1776 up until probably about the mid-60s, the country was doing just fine when it was just mostly catering only to white people. It wasn't bad for the country at all. That's the dirty little secret right there. And I already mentioned that before. White folks, they are, like he said, they're the majority. They also have the majority of the wealth in the country. They have the majority of the political clout. Regardless of what the Democratic Party will try to convince you, both parties are majority white. Always has been, always will be. That's why that's why I don't even look at any of these polls about, wow, you need to get this certain number of minorities to vote for you. Nope. You always have to get the majority white vote. Always. You get the majority white vote, you're more than likely going to win the election, bar none. And of course, that was proven in this last election when you saw the number of black people that actually voted. It amounted to, I think it amounted only less than 2%. 2% of 14% of the 14% of the population only voted. So I disagree with Greg Foreman on that point, but his overall point about the power structure, if white people finally decide to say, you know what, we're sick and tired of this, they would it would upset the power balance again. It would tilt it all the way back to whites. And like I said earlier, the reason why black folks have the power they have is because white folks gave it to them. And race hustlers and bougie blacks like Marc Lamont Hill are scared to death that if white people wake up one day and just say, you know, fuck all this shit, we're tired of it, we want it back, ain't a damn thing they can do about it. And unfortunately, black folks like myself, Greg Foreman, Brandon Tatum, Myron Gaines, we might get caught up in all the shit. And we're trying to tell you dumb motherfuckers to stop it. Dumb motherfuckers like Marc Lamont Hill, like Eli Misto, like Umar Johnson, like Charlemagne, all these Joy Reid, all these race hustling, that ratchet crock of shit, Jasmine Crockett. You're trying to tell you guys to cut this shit out, but you don't. You're hard-headed and you're puffed up with pride. You're haughty. But those are just my thoughts. You guys jump down in the comments, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'll leave a link to the script to all these videos. I'll leave a link to Greg Foreman. I'll leave a link to Piers Morgan and to Brandon Tatum. Check all those out. We're here because when the white folks were asking you guys the black folks to side with them on Austin Metcalf, You decided to play race politics and side with Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony murdered a kid, stabbed him in the heart. And when they saw that you guys were raising money for Carmelo Anthony for his legal defense fund and all that, whatever he's going to use that money for, it doesn't matter. White folks said, you know something? Okay, we got you. Shiloh Hendrix comes along, calls a little black kid in the end, gets put on blast by some dude, violated her privacy. He basically said, wait until the internet gets a hold of you. And white folks rebelled and said, nah, we tired of it. We're going to make her a millionaire. And if she becomes a millionaire and invests that, and it's good, and the games have gone, I think it's tax free because people are just giving her money. So they're giving her money that's not going to be considered taxable. She's going to invest that money. She'll be pretty much set for life. And in about a year's time, probably not even that. By the end of this year, everybody will forget Shiloh Hendrix. She's going to live a wonderful life. Carmelo Anthony, he's still going to be going to prison. Them the facts. But again, jump down the comments. Let me guys know what you guys think. This Chris Bolts. I'm going to try to post more to this channel. So just stay tuned. You guys take it easy.